Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Dan Kelly here with another Codex review for the Codex Station. Today, I'll be reviewing the six-issue miniseries First Wave, published by DC Comics from May 2010 to March 2011. It was written by Brian Azzarello, with pencils by Rags Morales, inks by Rags Morales, Rick Bryant, Bob Almond, Phil Winslade. It had covers by J.G. Jones. It was colored by Nee Rufino and lettered by Clem Robbins. The book is about the title characters teaming up to fight the Golden Tree, which is a mysterious secret organization that wants to bring peace to the world through force and violence. Uh, it did kick off a short but good line of comics from DC under the First Wave banner that focused on different characters like Doc Savage, the Avenger, a few other team up books. They didn't last long, but they were all really good. The story takes place, it's not clear exactly when it is. It says it takes place a few years after the war, but doesn't give an exact date. So it's presumably the late 40s to early 50s. It's a really good modern pulp sci-fi story, getting to see these characters interact with each other, with all their different personalities and different ways of doing things. The artwork in it is absolutely beautiful. J.G. Jones really does a great job with the covers, and Rags Morales inside. Just his artwork is fantastic. I remember first finding him with the old Valiant series, Geomancer, and he's done some other really good series too, like Identity Crisis for DC. Other than the main characters in it that you could see on the covers, there's a lot of other great characters that show up kind of unexpectedly throughout it. Some other DC characters and some other older pulp characters that all kind of fit into this sci-fi pulp world. And it's really cool getting to see them interact. There are some things that are not as good with the series. Even though Batman is given top billing on each issue and he's on the cover of each issue, he doesn't actually show up in the story in the first issue. In fact, he doesn't show up until one panel at the end of the second issue where he doesn't even do anything. He's just kind of on the panel and then doesn't really join the story until about halfway through the third issue. So if you're picking it up thinking it's going to be a Batman heavy book, it's not. He is a prominent character in the series, but he doesn't show up right away. Also, all the characters that show up in it, it doesn't give any backstory on who they all are. You're just kind of, as a reader, just kind of expected to know who they are. So there's the police chief and the driver that work with the Spirit. There's some of the guys that work with Doc Savage. There's Alfred that's with Batman, who most people know that, but you're not given any backstory or any real descriptions on the characters. So if you don't know anything about them and you're coming in fresh, you're just, you're just going to have to kind of figure out who they are as you go along, which I feel like a few lines of dialogue, especially for the guys that work with Doc Savage, a few lines of dialogue would easily explain who each character is and why they work with him. Also, as you could see on the covers, Batman is not the traditional Batman. He is carrying two guns with him, which very much fits in the style of the noir pulp kind of series that he's going with these other characters. But again, it's very different from the Batman that we're used to. It's more in line with the Batman when he was first introduced in the 30s. So it would have been nice to, have a couple lines of dialogue to, explain that with him, since he is so different than, like I said, what people are used to. But overall, it's still a really good story. It's got a lot of good action in it. Like I said, it's not just the three main characters, but there are other characters that show up throughout it, which, unexpectedly at times, which makes it interesting to see how they fit into the story. Overall, I would give it a rating of 8.5 out of 10. if you're not familiar with the characters beforehand, you're not going to be lost, but it would be, it would be better for you if you knew who they were before you went into the series. So if you want, you can find me on Instagram. You can search Dan Kelly Art and find my artwork and music that I post on there. And this has been another Codex review for the Codex Station. Be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And until next time, I'll catch you by the spinner rack.